In a world where carbs are your enemy, you need one man to help you fight your battles. That man is Jimmy.
Combating nutrition disinformation and general bull. It's Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com.
What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another Instagram Live, and we're here with another episode of Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website. We start off over on Instagram. Go follow me there at Living Low Carb Man, LIVINLOWCARBMAN. Once you are there, you can engage live, just like Dory and Nancy and Margaret and all these guys coming in right now. You can engage live in the content. But if you miss the live, you can watch it on replay for up to 24 hours. We also put all the past episodes up on YouTube because they do disappear off of Instagram. Boo. But we have all the past episodes, which we're in the 180s now, you guys, on episodes of Jimmy Rants. So type in Jimmy Rants as a keyword search on YouTube. You will find the show. Finally, we have a Jimmy Rants podcast over on Apple Podcasts as well as Stitcher. JimmyRants.com is the website with the links to all of this. Today's Jimmy Rants is all about assessing where you are on your ketogenic journey. So a lot of people, they go keto, they have a goal in mind. Generally, it's weight loss that they're looking for, and they're rolling along and they're doing keto in the day-to-day. So they're eating low carb very faithfully. They're eating moderate protein. They're eating high fat. They're eating mostly real whole foods. They're doing all the right things. And you kind of get into cruise control after a while. So when you're cruising along, you may not notice that things are happening in a good way. So that when your expectation level for whatever it is was the reason why you went keto, your expectation level is far different than what actually is happening because you're not noticing changes that are happening. So what I want to talk about here today is we need to be putting in time to regularly stop and assess where you are on your keto journey. Because if you don't assess where you are, how do you know that you're going towards your goals? And it seems kind of silly because you're like, well, as long as I'm losing weight, I'm getting towards my goal, I feel good. So then my question back to you becomes, well, what happens if the weight stalls? What happens if you're not getting all of the benefits that you think you should be getting from your keto? What happens then? If you never stop and assess where you are in your journey and assess because you're now a little bit older than when you started, that maybe you need to switch things up a little bit. Maybe you need to shift things around. Maybe what used to work for you may not work as well anymore. And I found this when I started on the Atkins diet in January of 2004. So 15 years ago, over 15 years ago, I started eating a low carb, high fat, high protein diet in the form of the Atkins diet. And it worked remarkably well. I was 410 pounds on 3 prescription medications, and I desperately needed to clean up my act. But just the simple move from standard American crappy garbage diet to Atkins made a profound difference. But here's the thing. Once you start eating healthy, the difference that happens when you start making changes is not as profound. So maybe you don't notice that maybe you need to tweak some things. And you guys know earlier this year, last month, I started on this kind of ketogenic version of a carnivore diet with aiming for 75 to 80% of my calorie intake coming from dietary fat. And it started to move the needle on fat loss for me. And we're looking at a lot of health markers. And I'm continuing this journey, by the way. I'm beyond the little testing period that I did of this. It's proven its veracity for me. And so I'm going to keep doing this, and I'm going to keep testing to see where I'm at. But that's what I want to encourage you to do. What are you doing to stop and assess where you are? A lot of you came to keto for various reasons. Maybe it was to control your type 2 diabetes. Maybe it was to lose weight. Maybe it was to improve your athletic performance. Maybe it was to help with some neurological issue that you're having. Whatever your reason for going keto, are you stopping periodically from time to time to assess where you are in your journey? Are you stopping to see if what you are doing is truly optimal? Are you stopping to look at the way you're eating now and whether it truly is optimal for what you are trying to accomplish with keto? If you're not, can I encourage you to do that? And you might be asking, well, how often should you do this? That's really up to you, but I think if you do an assessment once a month, and it's very easy to just say on the first day of every new month, I'm going to take a look at what I'm doing. If you're getting great results and you're doing quite fine with what you're doing, then by golly, you're going to keep doing those same things. You don't need to change anything. But if you come to the first of the month and you go, you know what? I'm not quite getting all the results and I want to try adding in more fermented foods into my diet. Do that for a period of time and then reassess that 1 month later. Or I've seen Jimmy talking about these infrared saunas, so I want to go to do infrared sauna therapy and see what that does for me. And so you implement that for a month and then you reassess a month later. If we don't stop and regularly assess where we are on our keto journey, how do you know that you're making progress? So that's what I wanted to talk to you guys about here today. And it's on my mind more and more because as keto becomes popular and it's a buzzword, I was just on an airplane yesterday coming home from that Metabolic Health Summit conference, and on the plane ride home from, it was the connecting flight. So going from LA to Chicago, the airline stewardess came by. Hey, I was in first class. And so they were like, what would you like to eat? Would you like the quiche meal or the protein plate? And I said, well, I'm really not that hungry, but if I chose between the two of those, it would definitely be the protein plate since I don't eat carbs. And she's like, oh, you must be keto or paleo. I said, absolutely, I am keto. She said, I just started this keto thing like 8 days ago. You know anything about it? That was so fun. I was like, well, actually, I wrote the very first book about it. So her eyes got really big, and I think she picked my brain for about a half an hour with all these questions she had. But it was kind of funny. But I was encouraging her, hey, you need to take like a mental assessment of how you're doing and where you're going with this. She was doing very good so far. And yeah, she thought she met somebody famous. It was pretty funny. I did sign one of my little avocados, the little squeeze ball avocados for her. I said, I don't have any of my books with me, but I told her about Keto Clarity and Real Food Keto. And she had bought Diane Sanfilippo's book, Keto Quick Start, in Costco. And she saw our book, Real Food Keto, in there as well. Oh my gosh. Anyway, it was fun. So assess where you are and realize that maybe you need to tweak things. That doesn't mean there's anything inherently wrong with keto. I don't think people realize that keto is not one thing. Yes, it's one basic thing, low carb, moderate protein, high fat, mostly real whole foods. That is kind of the basics. But my version of keto that works for me may not be the exact same keto version that works for you. So you have to assess. You have to stop and assess and see what you need to add or take away from what you're currently doing to keep getting the results that you're looking for. So that's what I wanted to share with you guys here today. Welcome in, welcome in. I am so glad you are here. Thanks for gracing me with your presence on this Jimmy Rants. And yes, my voice is slowly getting better. I wore ragged at that Metabolic Health Conference. Barnyard Coffee says, I was in a weight stall since the beginning of November. End of January, I decided to cut my cheese consumption and boom. See? You assessed. You figured you wanted to try something. You tried it, and now you're getting results. That's what happened for me when I went kind of a ketogenic, animal-based carnivore type of diet. I was doing very well in my health markers with just a traditional keto, but then I add in this keto carnivore and boom, I lost 23 pounds in 28 days doing that. So it can have a huge difference. And Barnyard Coffee says that they've dropped 3 more pounds after just eliminating cheese. I would die without cheese, but you know that you're finding what's working for you. That's great. Ashton says exactly, always fine-tuning and tweaking to continue to get results. And people say, well, if you got results doing X, when you do X again, you should get the exact same results. And that's just not the reality. The reality is you're older than you were then. Your metabolic state is different than it was then, possibly. So you've got to continue to tweak and make things work for you. Thanks for being here, guys. I'm finding since doing keto carnivore, I'm no longer wanting any vegetables. I feel quite satisfied with the things so far, but will adjust if need be. Ashton, I found the same thing, but I've never been a big vegetable fan anyway in general. I'll eat them only out of obligation, but not really wanting to desire them. But I desire having meat, and the meat has definitely been the trick for me so far. Hey, Lauren, thanks for being here. Always wanting to learn more. This is such great advice. Thank you, Fat Fueled Fitness. Assess where you are, guys. It is so crucial to seeing you have continued long-term success on keto. Kimberly says, this is right on time for me. I'm seeing there are options within keto. I added in protein-sparing modified fasting last week. I've had amazing results thanks to Maria Emmerich. Thanks for always supporting us. Yeah, so if you hear something out there and you're like, you know what, I want to give that a go. I want to see how that responds in me. Go for it. And see if you get these regular assessments where you're checking in with yourself at the first of each month. Then you want to try something. You try it at the beginning of the first of each month. And then the first of the next month, you go, all right, do I feel better? Am I getting the results I'm looking for? Am I getting healthier from this additional thing that I've done or this thing I've subtracted away, like the dairy earlier? Then if you are, you keep doing that. And maybe you assess, okay, what else can I do? This is not a bad thing. Everybody wants, oh, keto's the diet and it should just be the be-all, end-all. No. Constantly tweak and find what works for you. George says, always learning and adapting, listening to podcasts, watching videos, keep updating our community. Always. And guys, I'm always thinking of new stuff as well to kind of get people to think outside the box of what they're always looking at. Typically, people are looking very narrow-mindedly at just diet, and I'm trying to show them all these other things that are not in their peripheral vision right now. And I'm still learning, you guys. So at this metabolic health conference, when I was giving my talk, one of the organizers was in there and I was talking about kind of the glucagon resistance. We need somebody next year that can talk about this emerging field of glucagon resistance. There's just always stuff to be learning. Downtown Vapors, definitely time to reassess. 19 months and inflammation and glucose not optimal. So there's where you zero in on things you can do for those things. So for glucose, maybe you add in berberine. Maybe you see if that will help. For inflammation, maybe you start doing infrared sauna. Maybe you start doing some ice bath therapy. Maybe you add in new modalities just to see if it moves the needle on those markers. But kudos to you for wanting to reassess now. Shell Davis says, I'm tweaking for menopause. Yeah, because that's a whole new beast, isn't it? Keto Cricket says, amen to keto not being just one thing. Even the keto I do today is different than the keto I started with. When I first started, just getting off of 16 cans of Coca-Cola a day and fast food and Little Debbie snack cakes and all the crap that I used to eat, going to 20 grams of carbs with unlimited fat and protein that Atkins allowed me, was a huge jump in the right direction. And then from there, I've tweaked things. I've added in real whole foods as the primary source of my nutrition. And I've added in the element of keto, obviously. And then now, lately, in the past few years, I've been adding in some various biohacks, like infrared sauna, like HIIT therapy, like all kinds of things that are helping move the needle. Sherry says, keto changes along the way. Do what works for you. You've been listening to me. I've said that for years now. Alberto says, I'm always making assessments and changes and continuing to learn. And I talked about this the other day in a previous Jimmy Rants, that you can have paralysis by overanalysis because of all the information that is out there. But I think it's good to have all the information, because if you have information, that knowledge becomes power, the power to be able to implement changes into your keto routine that may be the answer for what you're trying to do and what you're trying to accomplish in your goals of eating this way. So never downplay information. Now, if it overwhelms you, that's when I say assess where you are, back away from the information at that point, kind of think upon those things that you do know and see what you want to add in. And when you're ready to learn some more, then go back to the podcast, then go back to watching videos and learning from there. Cozy says, cheese is life. I'm stalled and I know it's the cheese. Gee, I wonder what you could do about that. Maybe cut it out for a month. Can you do it for a month just to see where you are? I think that's not hard. Ashton says, our system changes as we go down our keto journey. Always need to adjust to body changes. And I wholeheartedly agree. As you get older, as things change in your metabolism, what you did before will not necessarily work now. Try doing the exact same weight in the gym, lifting weights. Let's say you lift and do curls of 10-pound barbell, and you just do that every single day. Will you ever get stronger? Nope. The way you get stronger is you add on more weight. So do what you've done before and a little more. Do what you've done before and a little more. And cumulatively over time, you build that muscle in the gym. Well, the same thing with your keto journey. Do what you've done before, but then add in some new element. Unless you're getting great results, by the way. Don't mess with things if you're getting great results. Then add in a little something more that could enhance what you're already doing. Okay? It's so funny because people are like, with this keto carnivore I've been doing, they're like, well, you could have lost more weight if you cut the calories down. And I'm like, I lost 23 pounds in 28 days. Shut up. Just shut up. I don't want to lose more weight than that. So go away. People will discourage you along the way too. Currently rereading Keto Clarity, says Nancy, and tweaking my protein macros. Also working with glucose tests. Being postmenopausal requires constant tweaking to stay in ketosis. And the fact is, you're still in the game, Nancy. Don't give up. Perfectionism is the enemy, says Einsavornova. Sorry, I slaughtered your name there. But improvement is the goal. Yeah. Don't ever think you're going to have the, quote, perfect keto, perfect journey. There is no such thing. The perfect journey is the imperfections that happen all along the way that lead you to become stronger and more resolute in your pursuit of optimal health. RL Blackbean says, I've been thinking about this for a few weeks. I've been stalled for about 5 weeks now, and I think I need to eliminate dairy, although I don't have a lot. It is more than before I was in keto. It's worth a try. This is the thing I want people to become comfortable with. It's okay to try things. And if you're going in and assessing where you are at the beginning of each month, so you guys going to promise to do this on the first of every single month. Look at yourself in the mirror and say, where am I with my keto journey? And I want you to take a look at what you've been doing. Take a look at what the results have been, not just your weight, but your health markers, how you feel, yada, yada, yada. And do all of those things. And then at the beginning of the month, if you want to say, you know what, this month, I want to eliminate dairy. I just want to see how I do with that. And if it starts to move the needle, then 1 month later when you reassess, you've got your answer. And now you've added in some health promoting modality. And so I think that's a great idea. I think it's important to say that keto is not a diet. It's whatever you do that allows your body to thrive on ketones. Thank you, Alberto. Grandma does keto. Just learning that aging bodies need more protein rather than less was a game changer for me, and it's working for me and my 86-year-old mama too. Like I said, there is no one size fits all, even in the keto realm, We all have our same journey that we're going down. We're all trying to pursue optimal health, but what it looks like for Jimmy Moore may be different than what it looks like for you. Tall Redhead said, I just tried beef liver. Was it good? Did you like it? Is that something? Added in more weightlifting as well and tracking everything through chronometer. All good things. Didn't think I'd try carnivore, but listening and reading, I'm trying it out now. It has opened my mind to other things. Started cold showers a couple of days ago. Hashtag growth mindset, says Live and Listen Healthy. Always pursue things that take you outside your comfort zone, that make you, push you to try things that maybe you never thought you would try before. Not that I would have never tried an all meat-based diet, and I've heard about these carnivore, zero-carb diets for many years. But now that I've done it, and now that I'm seeing some results from that, I'm like, well, dang, I wish I'd done this sooner, but better late than never. Thank you for all the information and ideas. Helps me and so many. Thank you, Rocky. Appreciate you, buddy. Definitely doing an N=1 every day, says Susan. And that's the thing I try to get people to understand is I do a lot of self-experimentation and share those results openly. But the point of doing those is not to say, this is what will happen in everybody. The point is, look, I'm one person trying these things out, seeing how I do. I want to encourage you to try things out and see how you do. Even if it means all you do is test your blood sugar. Even if it means all you do is kind of assess where you are, how you feel, subjective markers like that, then that's what you do. I take pictures on the first and see what I want to work on. Oh, that's cool, Keto Crickets. So as you assess yourself, and it sounds like you're looking for body composition changes, then taking a picture of yourself at the beginning of each month, that's a great way to do it. I can see your dimples, says Olga. Do I have deep dimples right there? Got rid of dairy and nuts, added in some fasting, and I lost 10 pounds in the month of January, says AK Bonbon. See, you're assessing where you are in your keto journey, making slight little tweaks. Here's the thing about the keto carnivore guys that I've been doing. I was about 95% there when I started it. So that 5% of my diet that was still plant-based matter, I've eliminated it. I've replaced it with more fat, and that's all it took to move the needle. Sometimes you're so close to that thing that's going to help you move the needle, and you don't even realize it. So if you stay stuck in the same old, wondering why in the world is this not working the way I expect it to, maybe that's why assessing it at the beginning of each month is so critical, and you want to make those little tweaks, you guys, because that will move the needle for you. Samarita says, if one day someone decided to stop keto, will they regain all the weight? What is the right procedure? Because everyone keeps on telling me it's a phase, you'll get bored and gain all the weight again fast. Well, don't get bored. Eat foods that make it interesting for you. And maybe that's the way, Samarita, that you need to assess at the end of the month. Was I bored eating keto? So if you come to the beginning of a month and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't keep doing it the same way. Change things up. Change things up. There are so many keto recipes out there now, it ain't even funny. And ways to do keto, all the way from an all meat diet a la carnivore, all the way to a ketotarian type of diet where it's kind of a mostly plant-based keto that my good friend Dr. Will Cole wrote a whole book about. If it's boring to you, you're not doing it right. If it's boring to you, switch things up. But to your friend's point of you're going to regain all the weight if you stop keto. If you stop anything, you're going to regain the weight. So don't stop it. That's the point. My goal is to lose weight and to keep being healthy. Well, if your goal is weight loss, don't make it your goal. Can I just be honest with that? Those of you that watch Jimmy Rants regularly, you know my philosophy is you don't lose weight to get healthy. You get healthy to lose weight as a side effect. And so improving your health through a ketogenic diet and all these other things that I've talked about in my work, that is what's going to produce weight loss. So don't put your focus on the weight, put your focus on the health and the weight will follow. It's crazy the difference such a small change can do. Susan, it really is. But it's another life lesson of you've got to keep tweaking and keep finding what will work for you. Fat Fuel Fitness, baby steps for me. I just went from net carbs to total carbs. That's a huge, huge change. So kudos to you. Next up, I'm going to start testing my glucose and ketones, baby steps. That's the way to do it. When you think that you're in a good place, stay in that good place. But if you get to the point where you're kind of going, okay, things aren't quite right, you need to reassess where you are and make those appropriate changes. So the bottom line in this Jimmy Rant, you guys, regularly stop and assess where you are on your keto journey. And I'm going to encourage you guys, make it the first of each month. Will you promise me that? Will you commit now? If you're watching this video, whether it's on Instagram, on YouTube, if you're listening to the Jimmy Rants podcast and you're listening to this right now, commit to me now that you're going to make the beginning of each month your time to reassess where you are in your ketogenic lifestyle. Because I don't want people to say, well, keto didn't work for me. I'll ask you, when did you reassess how you were doing? Oh, I've never done that. Well, you have to do that. And this is the missing element. And those of us who have been successful in doing this for a long time, and those who go on this for a weight loss, quick weight loss and temporal results, it's not a surprise to anyone when you fail. It's not. All right, guys, that's it for this episode of Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website. As always, pop on over there and you'll see that we start off on Instagram and do a couple of live videos every single day. So go follow me at Livin' Low Carb Man on Instagram, LivinLowCarbMan. Once you're there, you can engage in the content live, just like all these amazing people did here today. Thank you guys for being here. You can watch the replay for up to 24 hours on Instagram. It does disappear after that, but we put all the past episodes up on YouTube. Type in Jimmy Rants as a keyword search on YouTube or Google. You will find the show. Finally, we have a Jimmy Rants podcast, which is on Apple Podcasts as well as Stitcher. Go leave us a review on the Jimmy Rants podcast. I listen back to some of those sometimes just to kind of get a vibe for it. And my producer puts a nice little music bed underneath it. It's pretty cool to listen back to some of these Jimmy Rants with like a slow groove music in the background. Go listen. You'll see what I'm talking about. But leave us a review there so that others can find this show. JimmyRants.com is the website. So until next time, we'll see you then.